No.
It's recording.
It is. So don't, at this point, we don't swear or spit or scratch our bums or anything. And I'm just going to click go live, and we should be there. So
Yeah.
it's saying now live on Facebook. How frightening is that?
Hello.
Hi everyone. We're hoping, as normal, we've got a Friday live session. They're getting to be a bit predictable now, aren't we, Catherine? It's a bit of a
Yes, a Friday thing.
Friday thing. So today we're joined by one of our patients. He's called Andy. Do you want to say hello, Andy?
Howdy, you all right, everybody?
So Andy's one of our patients who has diabetes and has completely changed his life over the last, I think it's 12 months almost to the day, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, not far off a year, 5 days off.
So if we'd have, we shared some pictures of you, didn't we, in the preview to this session, and also just your email address. I think it starts with PUD, doesn't it? PUD. Have we lost it?
It does.
It does. So
It's gone frozen, but it does.
So that just kind of describes really what people would refer to 18.5 stone Andy as, I think. So I was going to ask him to tell us what made him change his life, but I think he's frozen. He has frozen.
I imagine that he's scattering around the garden now trying to get a Wi-Fi signal.
Running around. Oh, is he there?
Oh, he's back. He's back.
I've frozen her.
Oh, you're back now, Andy.
Now.
You're back. So, did you hear anything that I said?
I'm here, but you are disappearing.
Oh. So, can you hear me enough for you to tell us what life was like at 18.5 stone? He can't. He's going to have to go and find a new connection, isn't he? So he's gone. So Catherine, shall we start with you and you tell us? So one of my next questions was patients with diabetes, and we're talking about type 2 diabetes, aren't we? And that's different than type 1 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes, can you just tell us the difference?
Yeah, so while Andy's sorting himself out, basically, type 1 diabetes is an immune deficiency thing. It's immunological, so a lot of people get it when they're younger or younger of age. Type 2 diabetes is something that there's risks for it. So if you've got a family history of diabetes, if you had diabetes in pregnancy, there's different risks for it, but you tend to get diabetes later in life. And it's not got the immune factor, so we look more around, is it in that family, is it to do with lifestyle, that sort of thing.
Okay, so Andy,
he's back.
He is back.
I'm back now. I missed all that though before.
That's all right. So we're going to ask you, what was life like at 18.5 stone?
Well, I thought I was all right. I didn't realise what I looked like. Yeah, the medication side of it was getting me down though. The amount I was taking for things. When I was first diagnosed, it was tablets and then insulin, and over the years I've been pumping more and more into my body, and it's just like, this is getting ridiculous now. When's it going to end? How much am I putting into myself? I need to do something about it. But like every day, it's like, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. It's yeah, it's just a big change, and I just thought I need to do something. So, but I'll just give this a try, see what happened, and the results so far have been unbelievable. I just can't believe, how much better I feel. Like I said, I thought I felt fine, but nowadays I just feel so much better. It's
So a year ago you changed your life. How long had you had diabetes? How long had you been diagnosed with diabetes?
15 years it was.
So 15 years of 15 years of tablets, then moving on to insulin.
Yep.
So does that take over your life? Is that what you're thinking about all the time?
Yeah, what can I eat when I've eaten it? Do my bloods, inject yourself. Am I going to go too low? Have I put too much insulin in? It's just, you constantly, it's always in the back of your mind. If you go somewhere, have I remembered my insulin? There's a lot to it. There really is. But like I say, things like that are changing drastically now. You know,
Okay.
it's still think about it, but nowhere near as much.
Okay. So what was it a year ago that made you think, I can't do this anymore?
Just by being sent a couple of videos from the wife on YouTube. Dr. Sarah Hallberg and Jason Fung, watched 2 videos of theirs late one night, and I thought, I could do this. I think not next week, I'll do this tomorrow. So that's literally what I did. I just woke up the next day, I thought, I'll try this, see what happens. It might work, it might not. I might lose a couple of stone, and from there, I'd say it's just been amazing. It's such a good way of living.
So
It feels so much better.
They're medics who recommend a very low carbohydrate
Very low
diet.
carb, yeah.
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 So Katherine, just so that we get the kind of NHS view on what a diabetic diet should be looking like, what kind of proportion of carbs and fat and protein should we be recommending to our patients?
So years ago, we always used to say low fat and low sugar, but we know that low fat means that we increase the carbs in our diet. So that's involving cereals, grains, and things like that. When fat is removed from foods, they add carbohydrates. So it evolved then that we realised that carbohydrates have a massive impact around the diabetic diet. So there's food groups with sugar. So with anyone with diabetic, we say you need to look at your sucrose, your cake, sweets, biscuits, chocolate, that sort of thing. And we also talk about glucose. So glucose is broken down from carbohydrates. So if you eat bread, pasta, potatoes, the ANDI is dramatically reduced, they're just broken down into glucose, they're sent to the gut, and then it's transported around your bloodstream. So your amount of sugar in your blood is loads, and your pancreas secretes insulin. So that's a little bit about the history. We used to say low fat. Now we're evolving and we're saying low carb. So officially, a low carb, with all the evidence that we chat about, is under 130 grams a day. So Andy is doing massively more reduced than that. But that's sort of where we say, and we say gauge it to have less than 30 to 40 grams per meal.
Okay. So what does 130 grams of carb look like?
So, for example, a medium sliced white bread is probably about, 15 grams of carbs. A large jacket potato can be anything up to 90 grams of carbs.
Okay.
So it's about getting used to how much carbs, which I'm sure Andy will tell you, he's really aware of the carb consistency of loads of foods. And I bet he started looking at labels at the beginning as well.
Definitely,
Did you, Andy?
You did?
Yeah, definitely. Still do.
So Katherine's saying 130. So you went out a little bit on a limb with your low carb. And is how low is low carb or very low carb?
You're looking below 20 grams a day, which is very low carb. When I first started it, I went straight in below 20. It was hard to begin with. Nowadays, I'm probably up to sub 50 now. I have increased the carbs, but the low 20, yeah, it's hard. You are eating high fat foods, but that's what ends up putting your body into ketosis and helps with the weight loss. Within 2 days of going low carb, my blood sugars dropped to near normal levels. Still with insulin, but like I say, it is very difficult to begin with because everything you pick up, you think, oh, I'll eat something like a carrot, but a carrot's got carbs in it. There's so many foods out there that you don't realise have got carbs in. You do have to look up absolutely everything you're putting in your body.
So when you say look up, is there a tool that you use to look it up?
I use an app called Carb Manager. So
Okay.
you can basically type in what you want, scan it in a supermarket, or just look on the labels. But like I say, it was a massive shock. And other people I spoke to that started this diet cannot believe what carbs are in what foods. You just don't realise how high, like Katherine just said with the jacket potato, that's so high. Rice, brown bread, brown pasta, all that. One portion can be 40 to 50 grams of carb, and you think, oh, I'm eating brown, this is healthy. You're told to eat fruit a lot as well, but fruit's high carb. One apple's 20 grams of carb, a banana's up to 30 grams of carb. All these things you're putting into your body, and you've got to combat it with insulin. So the more of this, is allegedly healthy food that you're eating, all the brown stuff in the fruit, is just making you inject more and increasing your blood sugars. So yeah, you have to seriously look at everything you are eating.
Katherine,
a
you
little
look like...
point to make here. Yeah, just a little point, because people will be listening to us and say, you've just mentioned fruit, you've just mentioned pasta, you've mentioned all food, and we know this. We know that most food groups contain carbs. So if you sat at home thinking, well, where do you start? I can't just starve myself. We say reduce carbs from unhealthy sources. So that's your white bread, your white pasta, your crisps, your pizza, that sort of thing. We start off slow and then we move forward. And just another point as well, if you're on insulin or you're on a diabetic tablet called glycoside, or if you're on one of the tablets called an SGLT2, you need to do that with advice from your clinician, because it can cause your blood sugars to drop too low sometimes, and we need to refresh your management. So that's important.
Yes, definitely.
So Andy's hardcore, woke up one morning, went to 20. So if there's another one of our patients, or do you know what? People might be listening who aren't our patients. They could talk to their practice nurse or their GP and think about going from, I don't know, 250 grams of carbs down to 130, and then reduce a little bit more and get lower until their diabetes was better managed.
Yeah. I think that's probably where you started, was it, Andy? Did you start with bread and pasta first?
I just cut out everything. I just woke up and just did the lot, starting on a Monday morning. Let's just do this and see what happens. But like I say, I've increased it a bit now, but initially it was just, right, let's just do this. So after reading about it, looking at information online. But the thing is, like you're saying about the medications, my insulin amounts dropped literally overnight. So if you're still going to inject yourself with what you're on at the moment or on your medication, you really need to speak to somebody first before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a mess. It really, you can get my head on this one. People can ask me as well, but you're the people that can give all the proper advice on, the medication side of things. You really need to.
The thing that gets me is, I've been talking to many patients over years, but it's only when they speak to somebody like you, that is an expert by their experience, that they go, you know what, if he's done it, I can do it. And you are proving that it can work. I can talk about it till the cows come home, but it's so often people speaking to you where the light bulb moment goes and they go, do you know what, I'm going to be like Andy.
Yeah, it's inspirational.
I'll speak to anybody about it. Thanks.
Yeah.
It is, let's say, once you've done it for a little bit, it's hard to begin with. Once you've done it for a bit, though, it just becomes the norm. It's strange to explain. If you do have something you shouldn't have, you just you feel guilty about it. It's like, why have I just eaten that? It wasn't as nice as I expected it was going to be, even though I used to love that type of food. But yeah, it's strange, but I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to try it, with help and advice from me, you, or online. There's lots of information out there for people.
So you talked about your altering your medication and your blood sugars were different. Did you say 2 days later?
2 days later it started, yeah.
So I'm not diabetic, but I see my mother-in-law doing a check all the time. Isn't that a real faff if you're changing things, that you're having to do the blood pressure, the blood finger prick tests all the time, if you're not sure how your bloods are going to go?
Yeah, it's an absolute pain. When I first started, I was probably doing pricking my finger 30 times a day, trying to keep on top of it, because the sugars, I just didn't want to go too low, didn't want to go high, didn't know what was going to happen. My fingers were sore. After the first 10 days, I was in, I prick fingers everywhere. Imagine 100 odd holes in my fingers. So I moved to using a Libra sensor, the continuous glucose monitoring system, which sits on my arm. I scan it with my phone, and that just tells me exactly what my reading is at the time. It's no more, one prick every 2 weeks. That's it in the arm with the sensor. Absolutely brilliant bit of kit. Not cheap, but a brilliant bit of kit.
Let's have a look at it, Andy. Let's show everyone what it looks like.
Just that little button on my arm there.
So that's on a plaster, is it, that you stick on?
You sort of fire it into your arm with a little gadget that it comes with. It sticks there. You can have a bath, go swimming, do whatever with it. It stays on your arm for 2 weeks.
Okay. And that's linked to your mobile phone then? That's
linked to the mobile phone. Like I say, just click the app, scan it. It gives you your instant reading and stores so much information. Works out an average HbA1c, your average throughout the day. Very, very clever bit of kit. Really recommend it to anybody.
So something
But yeah,
actually goes into your skin, does it?
Yeah, I thought it was a needle at first, but it's more like a hair, a little bit thicker than a hair, and it's soft, but that literally fires into your arm. It's totally pain-free. You
Yeah.
don't feel it when it goes in, and you just 2 weeks later peel it off.
And you can test your blood sugar 100 times a day if you
Test it as
wanted
many
to.
times as you want, yeah. I test mine probably still 30 or 40 times a day, but literally just scan it with my phone.
Go on then.
Left my phone at the top of the garden.
Oh, but
I'll get my phone in a minute.
you just kind of go like that, look at your
Yeah.
phone, and it'll tell you what your reading is. So if oh, that's sign language for why
I just
go and
wanted
get my phone.
Bring my phone, please. But
I just wanted
not
to
looking
say
at
about
me.
the Dexcom. With the Libre, the continuous blood glucose monitoring, there'll be people thinking, how do I get hold of one? Can I have one? So at the moment in the NHS, people are only finger pricking, they're only doing blood glucose testing if we are going to do something with the result. So if they're on a tablet that could cause the sugar to go down, or if they're on insulin, or if we're taking blood sugar readings for 2 weeks and we're doing it to see what food does.
Okay.
We can get these Dexcom, these machines on the NHS, but you have to fit a very strict criteria, and it's hard to get one funded. So Andy has bought yours privately, haven't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay. So it's you buy a new one every 2 weeks or a new
Yeah,
pad.
that's it. New
Okay.
sensor every 2 weeks, yeah.
So your average kind of stable diabetic doesn't need to be checking their blood sugars all the time.
No, but when if somebody was on a medication there that they're not testing and they wanted to start doing low carb, we could do what we call a 2 week blood glucose monitoring, really. So we ask them to do the blood sugar before meals and 2 hour after meals.
Okay.
That is an amazing demonstration of what happens when you eat a jacket potato and what happens if you eat something that's low carb. So it's good for an educational tool.
So if one of our patients watching this wants to do that, how do they start doing that? Could they just talk to you on the phone?
Yeah, just talk on the phone and that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So ring through reception, say they want to speak to you about their diabetes, and we'll book them an appointment.
Yeah.
Andy, have you got your machine?
It was
now?
actually next to me, yeah.
Oh, there's a surprise.
So literally, typical male. Scan just literally touch it on my arm, and then it'll tell me. It'll just tell me instantly what my sugars are, which is currently 6.9. But I have eaten lunch in the last hour, so it's probably
6.9
not a bad number, really.
Yeah, all right.
I've had no insulin today either, so that's good.
That's good.
Yeah. Just had 2 metformins today, that's it.
So we're talking about, jacket potatoes for you would take you over your carb kind of allowance, I suppose.
Yeah.
What would an average person who was doing low carb, very low carb, eat in a day? What's a normal day look like for you?
Normal would be, well, once you started on this diet as well, you don't seem to be very hungry at all. You're very rarely hungry on it. Sometimes I wouldn't have breakfast. Sometimes I'd have toast, but a very low carb toast. There is a couple of breads out there at the moment, 3 to 4 grams of carb per slice. So maybe that with some cheese and some real butter on it. Lunchtime could be something, maybe a salad of some type with lots of meat, lots of cheese, something like that. There's everything you can have. Lots of meat, lots of cheese, nuts, lots of salad. I try and stick to the high fats because that's what's working for me. There's so much food out there. If anyone wants any lists or anything, I can provide a list of what you can and can't eat. It's not just a case of, I can't eat anything, I'm on a diet. There's so much food you can eat. And if you really do fancy something and you think, I can't have that, I'm on a diet, or I'm on a low carb diet, if you just Google it, everything's out there. Somebody has made what you want to eat somewhere along the line.
A low carb version of that.
A low carb version, which you think, how does that work? But it does. And some of the foods I've made have tasted absolutely amazing. There's cakes out there, there's biscuits, there is sweet stuff out there. But if you want to try them, they taste great. Maybe not as good as the originals, but there is so much out there.
No,
So
go
on,
Sorry,
Katherine.
I'll speak in a sec. No, I was just going to say, I I was just going to say, patients say this to me all the time. Okay, so you're telling me low carb, reduce my carbs. That's really difficult because as British people, we have meat, veg and potatoes. We have chili con carne and rice. We have spaghetti bolognese with spaghetti. Have you got any tips for how to get round that or to what to replace it with? Because that is the biggest hurdle that people find.
Right. Well, say the family's having chili, I will have something like the chili without the pasta, without rice, without the kidney beans in it because they're full of carbs. But I'll have it stuck in the top of an oven pepper, with lots of cheese on the top again to get the fats up. There's so many options out there. Like I say, I've quite a few people that I'm helping with this at the moment and sending out stuff to, and they're absolutely loving it. They're losing weight, they're dropping their blood sugars. It's I can't even begin to say how many different recipes, how many different meals you can have. If you want a burger, have a burger, wrap it in a lettuce leaf, use that as your bread. There's so much. If you fancy a sub, use a cucumber and scoop the middle of it out and put everything you'd put in your sub in it and just use your cucumber as your bread. Everything's out there. It's I'm never thinking, oh, what can I eat? Oh, I'll just find something different. There's always stuff. But like I say, once you get on the diet, you're not hungry anyway. I've sat there at meal times, sometimes pushing food around a plate, thinking, "No, I actually want to eat this. I'm just not hungry."
Do you think 18 stone Andy would have ever done that?
No, I'd have ate a lot.
Just a question from Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. What type of thing do you have for an evening meal, or if you eat out? So if you're going out with a family, what would you choose?
I'd probably have something like a mixed grill, but that normally comes with chips or potatoes or something. But I'd just ask them to not put any chips on it. Oh, my phone's going mental. Instead of the chips, I'd have just ask them to cook some mushrooms in butter or something like that on the side. So it really is, it's lots of options. It's very this phone that's beeping for some reason.
And you've got 2 teenage boys, haven't you? So I'm sure the chips don't last long anyway.
No. I mean, occasionally we'll have one if I'm serving a meal or something, but that is it. One's not going to cause a problem to me. It's everything in moderation. You can have a little bit of something occasionally.
Okay.
But most of the time, stick to whatever I fancy. Any type of fish, that's good. Lots of fish. I like lots of salads. But high fats, that's what I seem to stick to a lot.
Okay.
When I first started it, I was on a lot more high fats. I was eating pepperonis and what they called it, pork scratchings. Used to eat a lot of them. I've seemed to have gone off all that sort of stuff now, and just seem to have, what normal people have, just without the potatoes, carbs, pasta, rice. Just I don't eat any of that anymore. So most of the other stuff is fine.
Okay. Are you going to chuck that phone through the window or something?
I am, yes.
One thing just to touch on, Andy, you're talking about these high fats and you're having a lot of cheese and things like this. So this goes against everything we used to say years ago, but we know the benefits. But it would just be a good message to say, I don't think that eating on this diet has had an impact on your cholesterol. I've not got your results here, but has it dramatically increased your cholesterol or your triglycerides or anything?
No, not really. I was on the medication for for cholesterol and blood pressure. Within 2 weeks, I remember ringing you to say I've had to come off that, and you said you better come in and let me check your blood pressure.
Because I didn't believe you.
No, I know. I was sat at my desk at work and I was feeling dizzy. Stood up, felt great. Googled it, looked it up, and it's like, it's probably your blood pressure that's the problem. So within 2 weeks, I think it was, I was off that. I've not had any symptoms.
Okay, so 18 stone Andy wasn't only diabetic, he had high cholesterol and high blood pressure.
I was put on the medication when I was diagnosed as diabetic. I think it's just a precautionary thing they do for you. But like I say, as I was still on that medication at the start, I've had to come off it because, like I say, I didn't want to fall over. I've come off the statins as well for the cholesterol. Like Katherine said, nothing's really shot up, and I'm eating a lot more high fat.
So that was one of the questions we've had. Chris asked, "How are your triglycerides?" So no massive change.
I think evidentially as well, it's proven that a low carb diet does affect your liver in a good way, and that triglycerides that are affected by food, mainly carbs, generally reduce. So it is very favourable around triglycerides.
Okay, so my next question was about what do you miss the most, and what is it you crave? But you're saying you're not really hungry some of the time, so your cravings aren't necessarily there. Is that what you're saying?
No, sometimes I fancy something sweet. Sometimes I fancy chocolate, crisp, something, something like that. I'll eat pork scratchings if I want crisp. I've just seen a recipe this morning for making crisps out of celery, which is a brilliant vegetable. Like I say, they can make chips out of that. You can make roast potatoes out of it. It really is. I've never even heard of it till I started this diet. But like I say, that's always in the fridge now.
So they're like a turnipy thing, aren't they, celery?
They're a weird look. It looks like a brain. It's the right weird thing. But I don't like celery. It's part of the celery family. But once you cook with that, it's amazing. I really recommend it. Really would. But no, there's cakes, there's biscuits. There's all sorts you can actually make with almond flour. So that's low carb. It doesn't affect my blood sugars. If you make a batch of biscuits or cookies or a cake, eat it, and sugars don't change. It just makes no difference whatsoever to it. So there's lots of sweet things you can have out there, a bit different to what you normally have, but it's good.
So the weight loss wasn't what you were going for. It was for the management of your diabetes, and the weight loss just kind of happened as a side effect.
Yeah, I thought I might lose a couple of stone. I was hoping to get me blood sugars down and better HbA1c. But yeah, the weight loss started, the sugars come down, and it's like, this is crazy. And I just kept going and going and going with it. And it's just amazing. And I just can't explain how different I feel. So much more energy, faster than the kids on my bike, faster than the kids running. It's couldn't run a bath this time last year. I don't mind run after the kids. So it's great, yeah.
So you're kind of borderline normal weight now, aren't you? You're just
I think you told
me. Yeah. So you're bang on where you should be from 12 months ago, where, I'm sure Katherine was worrying about your health back then.
It's really nice to see. When I first met Andy, he would say things like, "Oh, I'm too busy at work and I'm rushing around, and I know I need to do something about my diabetes." So to see you go full circle and to reap the benefits, feel so well and look amazing, it's so lovely to see. And that is down to you and your motivation. So well done.
Thanks.
Well done.
That's good.
So your health now, you're saying you're reducing the amount of tablets you're on, you're off your cholesterol, you're off your blood pressure, you're reducing your insulin. Are you reducing your insulin, or do you say you stopped your tablets or something? Both.
I'm reducing the insulin a lot. I was on about 160 units a day. I'm probably on 20 to 30 units a day now. So reduced it dramatically. I'd like to go further with that, and hopefully that will happen in the next 12 months, but we'll see.
So is that possible, Katherine? To kind of, I don't want to say reverse, because I guess once you've got a diabetes, you're always living with diabetes.
Yeah.
But you can reduce your medication right down.
So there's no reason, because Andy is type 2 diabetic, he is secreting some insulin from his pancreas, but not enough, or he's a bit sluggish. There's no reason why he can't come off the insulin altogether. That's totally, and we would call that going into remission. So we'd still keep you on our records, we'd still monitor you, because it's always there, but we could code it as that, and that would be amazing, really would.
That's what he's going to do, isn't it?
I can tell by his face. That is his aim.
Yeah, definitely.
That is the aim. That's what I want to do. That is the plan now. Like I say, it might take another 12 months. I'm going to continue eating the way I'm eating. It works. If I go back eating loads of carbs, I'll put weight on, my blood sugars will go up. I've got to continue the way I'm eating, but I like it. So I've not got an issue with that.
Do you think it's more
as well? I was just going to say, as well as the blood pressure and the diabetes and the blood sugars and the weight, Andy has dramatically reduced his cardiovascular risks. That is his risk of having a heart attack or a stroke over the next 10 years, absolutely tenfold. So that, even though he's not set out to do that, that is a side effect of what he's done, which again is great.
I keep describing you as inspirational, Andy, and I can't say it enough. So to do all of those things by, not eating the carbs is just incredible. It's incredible. The exercise and stuff, did you start doing that straight away, or did you find that the weight changed without that?
Not really. No. I mean, I do a lot of walking and things like that with the family, the dog, bits and pieces. But no, not really. Didn't really do much exercise until lockdown, really.
All right,
Was
okay.
on the exercise bike in the garden, taking the kids out for a walk, ride, things like that. But now I've started riding to work and doing lots more pull-ups on a pull-up bar, stuff I just couldn't have done before.
Incredible.
So yeah, I think the last couple of months has definitely helped. Definitely with the exercise, but at the start, no change to the exercise, just the low carb.
Fab. So other than your wife thinking she's got a new husband, which I'm sure she does, doesn't she? What's the future hold for you? What's next for you?
I don't know really. I want to keep going with this. I want to lose a bit more weight. I want to get off the insulin. That's a big thing. That's my big challenge now. I know probably the best way to that would be more exercise. The more exercise I do, the less insulin I'll need. But I also want to help other people with this. If anyone wants any advice, I'm more than welcome to help other people. Hopefully going to set up a Facebook page soon about low carb and advice, so I can do it that way. But if anyone wants to contact me, either contact me direct or through you guys, I'm more than happy to get some information out.
So I don't want to make your personal details public. So if people just message the page here, the Elderly Family Practice Facebook page, I'll make sure that I pass the details on to you, and then you can choose how you get in touch with people. So if people want to message us with what we need, email address maybe, or phone number, or whatever they prefer. Okay. And just want to go through some questions. We've got quite a few people watching us. So Rachel is saying she uses celeriac as her lasagna sheets too.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've not tried it yet, but I have heard that, and apparently that's good.
Heather Henry's watching us, Catherine, and she says hello.
Good. Hi,
Heather. Lots of people watching us. Celeriac, very inspirational, Andy. Thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge to help out others. And I'll read this one out, and it's a naughty one from Dave Chorlton, and he says, "Tell them about the cake, Andy."
Oh yeah, that's I think you like that. It was his birthday last week, and I did bake a cake. I did send him a couple of slices, and I just sent him the recipe for it this morning. Actually, it's a very nice cake. It's low carb, but it tastes better than a normal cake. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's got lots of ingredients in it that you wouldn't expect. It just tastes like a Victoria sponge cake. So I'm going to make another one this weekend, actually.
Fabulous.
I have to bring one to the practice, yeah.
Oh, well, we'll never say no to cake.
We'll hold you to that.
Well, fair enough, yeah.
So, more people saying inspirational. So, you're making a big difference to so many people, Andy. So, I think a Facebook page would be ace, so that I suppose they will then start helping each other as well.
That's it. Everyone can bounce ideas off each other, message each other, recipes, whatever they want to do on there. Like I say, that is something in the next few weeks we'll be doing.
Okay, and there's quite, if you search on the internet for very low carb, there's just loads of stuff, isn't there? And
there's tons of it.
Probably a bit overwhelming for somebody that's starting out, I guess.
Yeah, but let's say just start watching a few videos on it. Go on YouTube, have a look. Contact you guys. We'll definitely help people out. There's a few people helping already, like I've said, and they're all loving it. It's a totally new lifestyle, totally new way of eating, but it's for the better, and it will help you. If I can do this, I'm sure a lot more people can do it.
I think that's true, and that as Catherine said, that's what makes the big difference. Because I met you when we were doing a group consultation, didn't I? And and that was over Zoom, and we had 6 other blokes on it. And I think, Catherine, as you say, you can say everything to these people time and time and time and time again. And if they're anything like me, in their head they'll be going la 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 la. She's telling me not to eat chips, la 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 la. But Andy says, this is me, this is what I look like, this is what I am now. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Definitely.
So, anything else you wanted to say, either of you?
No.
I think I'm good now, yeah.
Oh yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, I know, me being quiet.
So, you're on our Facebook page, aren't you, Andy? So you'll see the comments coming in. I'll try and answer them as people watch it over the weekend, and I'll coordinate messages getting to you from people who are interested, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, great.
Katherine,
Excellent.
you're happy to talk to people, aren't you, who want to reduce their carbs if they're diabetic? What if they just want to reduce their carbs because they want to lose weight? Do they need to have
There's no reason why they can't. Yeah, if they're not on any medications prescribed or otherwise, then there's no reason why they can't give it a go. Because we know that especially a low carb diet, where I carry it here in the middle, I won't show you, but it has a massive impact on that middle area. So yeah, it can benefit anybody.
Just one question that's come in. Somebody said, what's the difference between keto diet and low carb diet? Is it the same thing but with a different term?
Sort of. Keto is basically, they say it's sub 20 grams of carb a day. Low carb can be whatever, just stop eating lots of carbs. I mean, the keto diet, the idea behind it, you get below 20 grams per day. That'll put your body into ketosis. Your body will then run on your fats, your own body fat, rather than the carbs that you keep eating. Once you're into that stage, that's when you become less hungry, but you do have to keep eating lots of fats to keep it working. But that's when the weight will drop off, and your body. So when your body's running on fats, you'll just feel a better person. It just gives you so much energy, better brain function. It just makes you feel better. So.
Okay. Anything different, Katherine, from a medical point of view between low carb and keto?
No, just that we would advocate eating below 120 to 130 grams a day. I would never advocate a ketosis diet. It's out there. There's loads of information to find. So that's up to every individual. But I have to stick to all the evidence base that I've got. But that's absolutely showing some really good outcomes. Yeah.
Okay. And I can't tell you how many people are saying, please, can I have the cake recipe? Can I have the cake recipe? Can I have the cake recipe? And I think someone wants to see your middle as well, Katherine. So someone's saying, go on, Katherine, don't be shy. We don't want to. It's not that kind of video. So I think we've done our 40 minutes, which is always the kind of premium time for us. Andy, have you frozen again? Oh no, he's back. He's back.
It is freezing a little bit to me, yeah.
Okay, so we'll say goodbye to everybody. We'll make sure that this video stays on our. We can still hear you, Andy. We can make sure this appears on our Facebook. We'll put it on YouTube.
You're moving again now.
Moving. And we'll hopefully see you again soon, and keep seeing less of you, Andy, and keep getting healthier. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. Thanks, both of you.
Thanks, Andy.
Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers,
bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.